Welcome to another informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. In today's show, protecting yourself this holiday season as you shop and visit friends and family. Plus a look at how the European Union is helping the justice system. All that and so much more after this holiday reminder.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, December 6. Almost $90 billion in spending has been added to the 2017-2018 budget. The supplementary estimates of expenditure was tabled in Parliament yesterday. It increases the national budget from nearly $716 billion at the start of the fiscal year to now $805 billion. Capital expenditure is increased by nearly $69 billion, while housekeeping expenditure now sees a $21.6 billion increase. Among the changes is a $2 billion capital allocation for road repairs through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. $791 million of that was rerouted from the Ministry of Finance's Contingency for Natural Disasters and Infrastructure Rehabilitation, as well as the contingency provision for public investment management systems. The funds will go towards the rehabilitation of parish councils, farms and main roads across the island that have been damaged by heavy rains in recent months. At the Office of the Prime Minister, initiatives to bolster youth employment, rural economic development, and public sector modernization also received increased allocations. The Ministry of National Security has been allocated an additional $1.1 billion to implement new security initiatives, purchase vehicles and telecoms equipment, as well as construct and improve police stations and other buildings. And almost $285 million has been added to boost the Agricultural Competitiveness Program, promote climate change resilience in the fisheries sector, diversify livestock, and improve the banana industry. A contract worth $19 million has been signed to carry out improvement works on the Constant Spring Road in St. Andrew. The work starts early next year through a partnership between the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation and the China Harbour Engineering Company. At Tuesday's signing, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said the project should vastly improve commuting within the city of Kingston and from the capital to adjoining parishes. The roadway will be widened from 2 to 4 lanes, 14 intersections improved, and 6 traffic signals installed at intersections. Upgrading of the stormwater drainage system, installation of new sewer and water lines, and the construction of 2 new bus bays at Manor Park will also be undertaken.
At the end of the project, we expect to have one good stretch of high-quality road running all the way from Norbrook Drive in the north to Red Hills Eastwood Park intersection in the south, which gives us approximately 4 kilometers per lane.
And still on road works, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the Barbican Road Improvement Project will be completed by February 2018. The road work was scheduled for completion this month, but the Prime Minister says persistent rain in recent weeks has stalled the project.
Created havoc with our schedule, so we're not able to keep the December timeline which we had set, but February should be good enough.
Barbican Road is one of 6 legacy projects under the government's major infrastructure development program. Mr. Holness also gave an update on plans for other road projects.
We intend to start the Junction Road very early next year. I believe they have actually started some scoping and preparatory work already on that road. And we are also examining the possibility of starting a section of the South Coast Road Improvement Project to see whether or not we could begin early next year the sections that would lead into Portland and Eastern St. Thomas.
The Solicitor General's advice is being sought to settle a tax issue involving the Ministry of National Security and an importer. The ministry had entered into a contract with O'Brien's International to procure 200 pre-owned vehicles for use by the Jamaica Constabulary Force. However, only 30 so far have been delivered, with 66 vehicles on the wharf to be cleared.
The police need the 66 vehicles. We are doing everything, I said it in my statement, to ensure that those vehicles are brought into the police fleet at the earliest possible time without additional cost to the taxpayers.
O'Brien's was awarded the procurement contract of $426.9 million in December 2016 to supply 200 vehicles to the Ministry of National Security. The delay in delivering the vehicles stems from a failure to pay the general consumption tax and special consumption tax for import. On November 23, the Finance Ministry granted O'Brien's a 6-month moratorium to waiver payment of the taxes on the 66 vehicles. That has not yet been taken up.
The vehicles are on the wharf. The police need the vehicles. We have $42 million for the supplier. There is one option. We can use that money to pay the bond. It wouldn't be the taxpayers' money, it would be the supplier's money. And he's responsible to pay the duties anyhow.
The final report from the Caricom Review Commission will be tabled in the House of Representatives in January 2018. Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave the commitment in the House on Tuesday.
The Caricom report is still before Cabinet, and it will be addressed as one of the first reports early next year. In fact, I want to take it in the second sitting of Parliament next year.
Mr. Holness says the subcommittee of Parliament is also looking over the report. The Caricom Review Commission report was delivered to Prime Minister Holness in March. Led by former Prime Minister Bruce Golding, the Commission met with several stakeholders, including former Prime Ministers in the region, former Caricom General Secretaries, and focus groups across several parishes. And finally, Minister responsible for gender, Olivia Grange, is urging Jamaicans to join government's fight against gender-based violence.
I urge you to use your positions of power and influence to change the culture of violence. Our voices must be heard advocating for the rights of women and girls, men and boys, to enable them to be active participants in the development of our nation, Jamaica land we love.
November 25 was observed as International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and the ministry initiated 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. In Parliament Tuesday, Minister Grange updated the House on work that had been done to curb the practice. Among them, a gender mainstreaming policy in the workplace and a pilot program for gender equality seal certification. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Want to know the law pertaining to renting a house? What about the procedure if you're arrested? Or what is defined as corruption? Then click on the Ministry of Justice website. It has information on every law passed in Jamaica. The House of Parliament portal also has the more recent year's pieces of legislation. The sites are easy to search and the files are downloadable. Make access to justice your business. Know your rights.
The government has a vision of a Jamaican society that is secure, cohesive, and just. To get to this goal, we need to have an efficient justice system. The European Union is providing assistance. Find out more in our next feature.
European Union is committed to promoting and protecting human rights of all people because we believe that respect for human rights is essential for stable democracies and sustainable development, including economic betterment. This commitment underpins all we do in Jamaica and countries where we work. This is why we continue to support justice sector in Jamaica.
Jamaica has enjoyed a strong and long-standing relationship with the European Union, the EU. It all began more than 40 years ago when diplomatic relations was established. Jamaica engages with the EU individually as well as through its status as a member of the African, Caribbean and Pacific ACP group. There have been many areas of support and partnership over the years, including in justice. Most recently, the EU gave government $3.3 billion to support its justice reform program.
It is also the single largest budgetary commitment to justice reform in Jamaica or anywhere else in the world where the EU provides support.
The money has been allocated under the justice component of the 11th European Development Fund, EDF. $3 billion of the grant is earmarked for budgetary support, while the EU will administer the remaining $275.4 million. Half of that amount will fund technical assistance interventions, and the remainder will allow civil society organizations to support access to justice with an emphasis on vulnerable groups.
I certainly want to thank Ambassador MW for the tremendous participation of the European Union and her grant this time. Let me tell you, Ambassador, we are going to give you value for your money.
This funding is more than half of government's budget requirement to advance the justice reform program up to the year 2020.
And certainly, Ambassador, over the next few months, you'll be very busy, because we'll be inviting you around the different parishes to open justice centers. Every parish will have a justice center.
Jamaica now stands on the cusp of a watershed year in the justice system, with several projects set to be undertaken as a result of this allocation. These will include the rollout of audio, video, and transcription technologies in the courts island-wide, a Know Your Rights public awareness campaign, and expansion of the restorative justice program in 1,000 schools, with the assignment of at least 3 trained and certified restorative justice facilitators in each institution. A restorative justice office will also be established in each parish to coordinate school and community programs and provide support to local courts. Other targets include a recruitment drive for justices of the peace, strengthening of the Justice Training Institute's capacity to plan and execute training programs, and an intensive training program for 10 selected NGOs to improve their operational effectiveness and service delivery to target populations. The activities are expected to enhance the justice system's efficiency and facilitate greater access at the community level, streamline restorative justice interventions, treat with children in conflict with the law in accordance with international conventions, and reduce the backlog of court cases. This is an example of the EU's ongoing tangible and substantial support to Jamaica. The European Union's provision to the justice sector makes a substantial difference to the pace and success of the country's development.
So we're not here just to provide funding, but we're here to share experiences and to learn from you how we can better assist you, but how we can also be better at the work that we do inside our own countries.
Security guards, protect your health. Sign up for the Private Security Regulation Authority's health insurance scheme. There are 5 options starting from $997 up to $1,882 per month for individual coverage. To find out how to access the health insurance scheme, contact the Private Security Regulation Authority at 967-2522 or visit their website at psra.gov.jm.
As you go shopping for the holidays, remember to keep those receipts. That piece of paper will ensure that if those gifts don't work as they should, you can still have a joyful Christmas. Want to know just how valuable those receipts are? Listen up.
Serve. Be a pound of flour and a tin of mackerel there. How much that?
120.
120. Respect.
Yeah, man. My general, see how left a receipt.
John knows them thing there.
Yeah, man.
So, for this. Respect.
The law is clear. Without a receipt, there is no proof of purchase. It doesn't matter the situation or the type of item purchased. A receipt guarantees compensation in the event something goes wrong with your purchase. The Consumer Protection Act, the CPA, speaks specifically to this, the use of receipts during transactions being a duty of the vendor and the consumer. Section 20 of the Act stipulates that the receipt is your legal proof of purchase to be used in arranging a refund where needed.
Shop around, check the products thoroughly before you pay over. Ensure after you've paid that you receive a receipt.
Yes, comparative shopping cannot be overemphasized, especially in tight economic times. Customers have to ensure the quality of the product before hard-earned money is handed over. Otherwise, in some cases, you might as well be flushing those dollars down the drain. And if there is a defect, the justice system or the Consumer Affairs Commission may not be able to help you get assistance of any sort if you do not have a receipt.
We admonish consumers to ensure at all times that you have a footing to stand on if something goes wrong. And that is why we encourage you to get a receipt once you have done any business.
But within the Jamaican shopping context, with street-side deals, corner shops, and other instances of informal selling, the use of a receipt is often abandoned. In those cases, the CAC warns the consumer is pretty much not covered, legally speaking, that is. But there are ways to resolve this.
In cases where a receipt is not available, take your receipt book with you and have the vendor sign the receipt book as a way to protect yourself.
Would you like a receipt?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Wrong move, says the authorities. According to CAC surveys, motorists often opt not to accept or request a receipt because the process is time-consuming. But motorists are implored to request receipts for petrol purchases to facilitate easy resolution if a discrepancy occurs, such as being overcharged.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Total.
Good afternoon. May I get 2090? And may I have a receipt, please?
2090 and a receipt? Sure, no problem.
Here are the legal guidelines that constitute a valid receipt.
And that receipt should bear the name of the provider, the date on which the transaction took place, what was purchased or what service was used, the cost, and the cost attached.
The receipt could also show the vendor's contact information and description of the product, that is, the goods or services being sold. The price can either be written out or printed in numerals. Both are sometimes used in order to avoid ambiguity. And vendors, to protect your business in the event a dispute arises, keep a copy of all receipts and sign receipts if they do not bear the logo of your organization. The receipt can be valid for up to 6 years. So, to get justice in the event of a transaction gone wrong, the next time you pay for goods or services, collect your receipt.
Life is all about making decisions, choosing from a number of options to do a particular thing, which may result in a specific outcome.
It can be difficult, but there are 4 things you can do to help make that decision.
Stop. Check out what's happening and remind yourself to think before acting.
Think. Make sure you're aware of the choices, all the advantages and disadvantages. Then think about the consequences.
Act. Choose the best option and do something about it.
Review. Finally, review what you have done and determine if it was good or bad. That way, you'll be in a better position to make the next decision, whether big or simple.
Did you know that in a recent survey done by the OCA in schools across Jamaica, 43% of the students received inappropriate messages from strangers? The OCA wants you to be smart online. Never speak to persons you don't know. Parents, encourage your children to be social but be smart.
This message was brought to you by the Office of the Children's Advocate with support from UNICEF.
With the advancement of technology, you may be doing some of your shopping from the comfort of your home. But with the ease comes the need to be more careful. Up next, protecting yourself online as you carry out those transactions.
Choose strong passwords. A lot of us reuse our password and we use easy what we call soft passwords. You know, the name of your child, your date of birth. We encourage consumers to choose passwords that are complex, include characters, numbers, and symbols in your password, and no less than 8 characters. The other precaution is to control access to your machine. That includes don't leave your device open on the table. So your smartphone or your computer, lock the screen. Very important because somebody can easily access your data that way. The other precaution is to protect your sensitive data. So identity theft is real. And it's pretty easy for an actor with criminal intent to get your private, to create an identity of you. So they can go on your Facebook page or your LinkedIn or any social media site and grab your information, your name and other information, and create a profile of you in a different scenario. In some cases, they can actually go in other jurisdictions, they can use the social security number and actually apply for bank accounts and other services, financial services. So identity theft is real and it affects us all. So the advice is to try and limit the amount of information you put out there in social media. Social media is important. It keeps you in touch with friends and family you haven't seen for years, and you have a big geographical distance between them, but it also exposes you. So keep your private information offline. In regards to online shopping, utilize the services of a legitimate and well-known and well-established website. Some of these more, well-established websites may not necessarily carry the product or the service that you're looking for, but you do have websites out there that they may be running a legitimate organization, but their security precautions that they take in their back-end system is not sufficient. It not necessarily means that you can't shop with them, but or they might not deliver your product, but the level of trust that you have in them might not necessarily be what it should be. But online shopping, there's a service called the Better Business Bureau, which a lot of these websites utilize now. And what they do is the Better Business Bureau will evaluate the website and organization for the level of legitimacy, the care that they take in protecting shoppers' data, and they will give them a rating. Their rating system is also based on the number of complaints that consumers logged with the Better Business Bureau. So so websites that are highly rated by the Better Business Bureau will have a tag on them, BBB. You may have seen that before. So that's a good way of evaluating a particular website if you choose to shop with them. Protect your credit card information, especially online. Don't just plug it in any website. And remember to log out of websites after you finish using them.
In the past, we would simply, go into a bank and we would sign mountains of documents to purchase a house or even a car. Now there are opportunities for you to use digital signatures where you can do these transactions online, which now makes it even more challenging to police, because how do we know that you are the actual individual online that is adding a signature to a particular contract or an agreement? So it is very important for consumers to understand and to have a better education on protecting ourselves in these regards.
On our roads, remember, take time, be courteous, drive good, walk good. Part of keeping our roads safe is ensuring the vehicles we drive are mechanically safe, meeting all roadworthy requirements. And besides that, we must be good drivers and avoid risk-taking and sensation-seeking behaviors which are prone to causing road crashes.
Today we want to remind our motorists, especially the operators of heavy vehicles, trucks, trailers, buses, about the safety features along the highway. The first thing I want to highlight is the signage along the highway. So whenever you approach a steep downgrade, there is going to be a sign advising you that there are steep slopes ahead. And the number on the sign reflects how steep the slope is. So a 5% slope is obviously less steep than an 8% slope. And the first thing we want to encourage our truckers and the operators of heavy vehicles to do when they see a sign like this is to check their brakes. Along the highway, we actually have special areas where you can stop and check your brakes. The second thing we want you to do is to get in low gear. So the sign will also remind you that you need to be in low gear as you approach these steep slopes.
That's all we have for you today. Join us again tomorrow on this station at the same time for another Jamaica magazine. Also, remember to visit our YouTube page to watch this and other editions of the show. But don't just watch. Let us know what you think. Send us an email and visit our social media pages. I am Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.